The Psukim in Sefer Ezra, Perek Gimel, talk about how when Klal Yisrael started building the second Beis HaMikdash, the younger Jews were celebrating and happy and excited, whereas the older Jews were crying, mourning, because they realized the second Beis HaMikdash didn't have the same splendor, the grandeur, didn't have the same regal. It just wasn't the same as the first Beis HaMikdash. And there's a lot to be learned from these Psukim, but one thing is the innocence of the younger generation. They just never saw the Beis HaMikdash. They didn't know what it really was all about. And therefore, it makes sense that the elderly were mourning it because they had seen the first, where the younger people did not. One of the powerful questions one can ask is, how are we supposed to mourn now during this 3-week period building up to Tisha B'Av? How are we supposed to mourn that? We're not even the younger people, certainly not the older people. We didn't see the first Beis HaMikdash. We didn't even see the second, we didn't see anything. And yet Chazal reinforced that we're supposed to mourn, encourage it. Halacha is in the Gemara in Bava Basra, and says, Kol Misabelo Yushalayim Zoche V'roeh B'simchasa. The way to appreciate the next one is to mourn for this. And therefore, how does this all come together? What are we supposed to be doing? It's difficult to miss and mourn for something that we've never experienced, as the younger people in Sefer Ezra, just like them. And perhaps the answer is actually from the younger people you can learn a lot. You might not know exactly what it is, but the younger people were happy for something. They were happy that they got a lot. They may have not gotten what the elderly people had. Where does that come from? They were celebrating. They must have had some emotional connection. And perhaps the message is, as much as we can emotionally connect to something that we've never seen, we should try to do. But still, how does one do that? So Chazal teach us, the Rishonim teach us, the Chachmei Masorah teach us that the Beis HaMikdash is a makom, not just of Kedusha, obviously. The Ramban writes that the Mishkan, and therefore the Beis HaMikdash, the Ramban in Sefer Shmos writes, this is the place to feel the most profound connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the continuation of Har Sinai. Matter of fact, Har Sinai may have been built so we can have HaKadosh Baruch Hu in our lives daily. Sefer Vayikra might not be the center. That might not just be the middle of Sefer Chumash, but the center of Sefer Chumash. How do we live if Sefer Shmos is God giving us, building towards the Mishkan, starting from a book of Galus and concluding to Geula, as the Ramban writes in the introduction? Maybe Sefer Vayikra is, how does one live? How does one exist with the HaKadosh Baruch Hu dwelling amongst us? And although we can't experience it like a blind man can't see color and a deaf man can't hear sound, where you can't explain to them what those things are, nonetheless, the more we can appreciate what we're supposed to appreciate, even if it's not really wanting the Beis HaMikdash, just knowing we're supposed to want it, knowing something's missing. Emotionally, you can't feel that attached, but you should know the relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu is not the way it could be. The interaction with Him is not the way it should be. The religious experience is not what we wish and ideally know it should be. And therefore, our mourning may just be, I think I once heard Rav Lachman say, to wish to want, to wish to want. We don't know what it is, but at least we know we're missing something. There's a sense of integrity in understanding that we know that we should want something more. And in Mir Hashem, these 3 weeks, we should, as much as we possibly can, cultivate the sense of, I know something's missing. I know there's something lacking. And hopefully, as Chazal do say, Kol Misabelo Yushalayim Zoche V'roeh B'simchasa, as the younger people did, maybe they didn't see the large one. Mir Hashem Bayis Shlishi should be the greatest of all. We'll have the bigger simcha. But to appreciate that we're missing something, and then when it comes together, comes back and returns, to know, well, at least that it will be better, that is what we're looking for.